usually how I open up all of my workshops and retreats. So when I was younger, my parents used to call me a highly imaginative child. And I grew up with very kind of left brain, type A parents, which I think are very indicative of our culture, right? It's very left brain. But I learned at a really early age, because of that, to repress my imagination, to repress my creativity, I just learned that that creativity wasn't valued, and my imagination and that gift, right, wasn't valued. So it wasn't until my senior year of high school that I had a painting teacher who really inspired me. And so I went off to college. I was like, I'm going to be a painting major. And I remember my father saying, no, you're not. You need to find something more practical, something that you can fall back on. And Ashley and I actually went to Tulane together, and it was like, investing in an education like that, it's like there has to be some, right, return on investment almost. That was the kind of thinking. And in hindsight, I'm really grateful to my father now, because I think that he had the best of intentions for his daughter in terms of, giving her the best opportunity and education to support her, to support me, in taking care of myself, financially in the long term. So, but of course at the time I wanted to be a painting major, and I actually chose English, and I remember his rationale was everyone in business needs to know how to write. Of course I studied English lit and poetry and creative writing, and I was a studio art minor, and got out of school, had no idea what I wanted to do, and then ended up living in Boston and working in PR, writing press releases, and it turned out I was working for this large technology public relations firm in Boston. And I somehow got into technology, and then it was the beginning of the .com boom, and it was so innovative and entrepreneurial, and it was just a really excited time. And then moved to San Francisco, and again really loved being in the .com. It was like the mid-90s, and everything was just kind of crazy and happening and very creative, working for different agencies and marketing and startups. And then I got burnt out, and I ended up working for Intel Corporation in marketing. And I got there, and I had this great job, making tons of money, but I was bored, depressed, and unfulfilled. And I was like, I knew that my life purpose was not to sell microprocessors. I was like, there has got to be something more. And so I went back to my creative roots, and I took a writing class at the Writing Salon. We were just talking about that in Bernal Heights. I took a life drawing class from Michael Markowitz over here in Noe Valley. Has anyone ever taken his class, life drawing? Because it's like drawing but process painting. It's really great. And I took a photography class, but my real passion was painting, and I actually lived around the corner on Fairmont Street from the studio. And I just walked in, and it was like the painting studio. And I remember calling Barbara Kaufman, the director, this was 15 years ago, and saying, I want to take a class. And I remember she tried to talk me out of it almost. She was like, this isn't a typical painting class. I'm not going to teach you how to paint. I don't teach technique or skill. It's all about spontaneous creativity and self-expression and exploring the imagination. And I was like, sign me up. I was like commuting to Silicon Valley, in this sterile engineering environment, cubicle land. I was just like, color, please. So it was actually in the studio, where I had my first class, and the first session that I had here, which is why it's so special to be back here teaching, is that, it brought me so much joy and freedom in simple creative play, like just slinging paint on, simple paintings, just paint on paper, it opened up and reignited something in me that had been dead for years. And it was that connection to my creative source, to that sense of freedom and, discovery and exploration and just, and play, really. And so I knew in that moment it was a very subtle yet really powerful epiphany, and it was like, this is my life purpose. It's like to create experiences like this that support, foster, and nurture people connecting to their creative source, to their life force, their sense of passion and vitality, and to that sense of freedom and joy that we can experience through the expressive arts. So that took me on a wild journey, and then I ended up, my own sort of type A-ness was looking into art therapy programs, and I looked into art therapy, and I was like, as an artist, it felt way too clinical for me. And then I found CIIS and the Institute of Transpersonal Psychology, and I did a master's there with a focus on creative expression, which was incredible. And I got to do my independent study in intuitive and process painting. I also trained in psychodrama and sand play and movement, and but my real passion was painting. And the whole time in my journey, I was like, I'm not sure if I want to be a therapist. I kept coming back to the painting experience. And then I had worked with a coach and mentor and spiritual teacher, Dorothy DeVac, from the Center of Excellence, and she helped me make that transition from Intel into the expressive arts. And I found her framework and her tools so supportive for me, and all of the energy and life force and creativity that I was evoking. It just gave me that kind of structure that I needed to corral all that creative energy. So I really started to see that the expressive arts with coaching was a great marriage for me, and I saw it in my own process. And essentially that's what the Fire Tree Method is. It's just the integration of the expressive arts and that right brain, left brain of the coaching structure and format, and the integration of that as a path to wholeness. So while it's therapeutic and can be healing and very transformational for a lot of people, we really see it as, or I really see it as a celebration of wholeness. So that's just a little bit about my path and my path here and back here. It's really exciting to be here and to share that with you all. I want to talk a little bit about the